I've been following Tesla's CyberTruck since it was first unveiled, and yes, it was a real gut punch seeing that low-poly block roll on stage, but it's just further confirmation we're living in a simulation we can't escape. Since we can't escape it, let's lean into it. Here are some of the biggest complaints I've seen about the CyberTruck, and when I say complaints, I really mean myths, because none of them make any sense. Number 1, there's no crumple zones. First of all, everything crumples if you hit it hard enough. Trucks have solid steel frames, and even those crumple in a collision, even well below highway speeds. Despite its impressive specs, it's not an armored car, and it isn't meant to be one. It just gets its strength from an exoskeleton instead of an endoskeleton. And while the doors may be able to resist small arms fire, the front end has none of that. It's a hood on hinges with a fascia and a plastic bumper. I'll concede I'd rather be thrown onto the hood of a Model S than chest slammed by a Cybertruck, but that's equally true of every van, SUV, and medium-duty truck on the market. Cars will not fare worse against the Cybertruck from the front than they would with any other vehicle. From the side or back, well, that's kind of on them, isn't it? A rigid structure is in fact the best for side impact, since there's no room for any vehicle to crumple there. Suggesting the Cybertruck won't pass basic safety tests for passengers is as ludicrous as the idea that it would be any worse for pedestrians than the alternative. As a quick reminder for the lizard people living among us, humans are mostly made of soggy carbon. We don't fare well against soft plastic or even the ocean when we hit it at sufficient speed. I'm on to you, Reynold. Number 2, it won't be street legal. I see this one a lot, and it's absurd. If you honestly think Tesla is going to produce a vehicle that can't legally be driven on the roads, you're nuttier than a squirrel turd. There's no windshield wipers. Yeah, well, they'll add them. And if you want to know how to overcome drag with wipers, the answer has been solved for decades. You hide them under a retractable panel at the back of the hood. Done. The steering wheel isn't street legal. Yeah, well, it's a concept car. It's meant to look futuristic. Of course it has a space-age steering wheel. Move past it. Adding a proper steering wheel takes no time at all and actually saves time, since it would then be a standard part. There's no side mirrors. Yeah, well, side mirrors may be replaced by cameras, like in the semi-prototype, which are legal in other parts of the world, and the process to legalize them here is already underway. Or they can always, tack some on. That costs less than the camera solution and takes all of 5 minutes to implement. Number 3, it's too big. Well, yeah, it's a full-size truck. Along these same lines, I've read that it won't fit in your garage, also like a full-size truck. It is big, make no mistake, but it's not bigger than other cars already on the road today. If you can fit a full-size pickup in your garage, this is about as likely to fit. CyberTruck is 232 inches in length, 80 inches wide, and 75 inches tall. The 2021 Escalade is 227 inches long, 81 inches wide, and 76 inches tall. It's 5 inches shorter, but it's taller and wider. The best-selling Ford F-150 is 209 to 250 inches in length, 80 inches tall, and 75 to 78 inches wide, so some are shorter, while others are 2 feet longer. All of them are wider, and the Cybertruck is only a single inch taller. The new GMC e-Hummer is 218 inches long, 87 inches tall, and 81 inches wide. So it's not as long, but it's half a foot wider and taller. Even the humble Chrysler Pacifica is 204 inches long, 80 inches wide, and 70 inches tall, making it the exact same height and within 6 inches of its width. And moms drive that to soccer practice every day, or at least in the summers, or at least back when sports were a thing and people were allowed to do them. Even the 1976 Buick Estate wagon was 232 inches long, 58 inches tall, and 80 inches wide, making it both longer and wider than the Cybertruck. And that's to say nothing of the Ford Transit 250 cargo van, which is 220 to 264 inches long by 81 by 82. That's a beast, and people still drive it, especially in Europe, but I'll get to that in a minute. So you can't park it in your garage, just like any other comparable truck you might own. That's fine because this one doesn't rust due to stainless steel construction. It doesn't get paint chips due to it not having any paint, and is unlikely to be vandalized since A, it would be exceptionally difficult to do it, and B, it comes standard with Sentry mode. Neighbor kids tag your ride, buff it out, and hand the footage of those rascals over to the authorities. Couldn't be simpler. And before I go on to number 4, let me share an extra ounce of evidence that we're living in a simulation. The masks. Remember how Cobra Commander didn't have a visible mouth? This wasn't an aesthetic choice. It was to simplify the animation. When everyone's wearing masks, even on TV, it lightens the server load significantly. We're the Jerrys in this simulation. My man. Number 4, you can't sell it in Europe. And now we're back to the Ford Transit 250 cargo. If that rig is legal, the Cybertruck will definitely be legal. Just look at that beast. It's as big or bigger in every dimension, as sure to smite an inattentive pedestrian as a runaway train, and of a size that surely can't even fit on European streets. Except that it can, and it does, every day. These are what Amazon uses. And even though Europe has stricter standards about who may drive which class of vehicles, sorry Americans, you'll never pilot an oversized U-Haul over there, this falls under the weight limit designated to operate them with a standard driver's license. Okay, maybe it needs physical mirrors or different taillights, but again, those are one-day fixes at worst. But honestly, Europe is not the market for pickup trucks in the first place. I've seen a Ford Raptor reviewed on Top Gear, but even Jeremy Clarkson was quick to point out how rare they are. In the US, the F-150 isn't just the best-selling vehicle, but the Dodge Ram and Chevy Silverado round out the top 3. If it sells 0 units in Europe, it will not impact its success as a vehicle overall. Number 5, you can't reach into the back. This one has gotten quiet lately, but over the month following the Cybertruck's debut, it was all the rage. One cannot simply reach up and over into the bed to place their tools or bags or escort corpses, what have you. The sloping angle would make it impossible. And that's true, though wildly misleading. I'm a short guy, and I can barely see into the back of a pickup. My buddy is a tall guy, and he can't reach into the back either. While there are people who can reach into the bed of a pickup truck, they're exceptionally rare and secondary to the actual point. Why are you reaching into the bed of your truck at all? If you have tools, wouldn't you rather put them in the front? If you have groceries, wouldn't you rather put them in the back seat? Nothing is less secure than your stuff exposed to the elements, onlooking eyes, and whatever sticky fingers exist in your neighborhood than an open truck bed. Just don't put stuff there. There's more safety, security, and simplicity by putting anything inside with you where there is well above average space, or in the front, or in the subfloor compartment within the vault. Oh, did I just call the bed of the truck a vault? I did, because it's not only out of sight and out of mind, but it's under a rolling stainless steel cover. If a criminal wants to get through that, they still can, but it's going to take a heck of a lot more time than they would with any other truck. And unlike your Ford, Ram, or Jimmy, you can actually reach the back of your truck because the air suspension allows the ass to droop for easy access, much like, well, this is a family show, but you get the idea. Even for the 5% of truck buyers capable of reaching into the back of their trucks, the CyberTruck still provides better options. Fun fact, 93% of viewers on my last CyberTruck video weren't subscribed, so they're unlikely to see this one. If you want to keep in the loop and make sure YouTube knows what kinds of videos you're interested in, well, you know what to do. There's too much to pack into one video. The second part is already up on Patreon if you can't wait, or if $1 a month is out of budget, I totally understand. So just subscribe to get notified when the second part goes public next week. If you can think of any clear, obvious, undeniable design flaws or production problems I missed, leave them in the comments so we can have a discussion. And if there are enough of them, I'll make a third part to this series, either admitting you are right or explaining why you're mistaken. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots once we both take Roy off the grid.